Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of this podcast. I'm your host, Kiara, and today I want to talk about the VMAs, which just happened last Sunday. I'm recording this on Tuesday, so it's the night before this episode comes out. Usually I record a little earlier, but I have a lot of news to share, and this might end up being a longer episode. We'll see. I don't know. But the VMAs were incredible. I really enjoyed them despite major absences from stars like Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and Bruno Mars. Even like Kendrick wasn't in attendance, which was a huge bummer. I was really hoping to see him. But the 2025 VMAs still made a splash and generated the highest viewed show in recent years, where some of today's stars were missing. Many legends of years past were in attendance, including Mariah Carey, Jessica Simpson and Ashley Simpson, and Busta Rhymes. And Mariah Carey received the Video Vanguard Award, which I was shocked to find out was her first VMA. Hello? So I want to first start out by recapping the red carpet moments. There were some really fire fits. Sabrina Carpenter, of course, like I know I can't stop talking about her. She's like the subject of every Substack, TikTok, podcast. I just can't stop talking about her. And I'm going to talk more about her new album, Man's Best Friend, at the end of the episode. But her look was insane. She was dressed in a sheer red lace Valentino dress, and she had a lilac boa. And I loved that color match because it's not like an overdone pairing of colors that you see all the time. I loved seeing the lilac color paired with the red, and then there appeared to be some like rhinestones or sequins or something to make it sparkle as well. So yeah, obsessed with that Valentino look. And then for the after party, she changed into a Bob Mackie dress that Cher had previously worn. So all around, huge night for fashion for Miss Sabrina. And then Doja Cat also made a splash on the red carpet. She wore Balmain, and she actually took a bite out of her lipstick on the red carpet. And it happened to be like a MAC replica that was actually made with chocolate. And that was kind of the way that they rolled out their partnership for Doja becoming an ambassador for MAC. So that was a really cool red carpet intro moment. Even though it was a brand stunt, sure, it was like super authentically Doja Cat. Like that is so her vibe. She's just chaotic and nutty. So that was a perfect thing for her to do. And then Summer Walker, she was dressed in a Pamela Anderson tribute. It was a different color, but if you recall, Pamela Anderson once wore like these crazy sequined pants with a white corset top and a like fluffy, like maybe ostrich feather hat. And Summer Walker, the R&B singer, recreated this look in a different color. She did like cotton candy blue, and then she carried cotton candy on the carpet and fed her date cotton candy. And this man was like a 50-year-old white dude. And like, not to say he wasn't cute, like he was, but he was like 50 is honestly, I'm being generous. He looked older, but like a handsome guy with lots of hair and very tall. So like whatever. And she posted on Instagram with the caption, "Fuck my type." And then when I think it was Variety asked her like if that was her new boyfriend or like what their relationship was like, she called him her special friend, but then told Variety to mind their business, which I love. So that's kind of some of the highlights of the red carpet. And then as far as winners, Lady Gaga, who was one of the most nominated, also but was one of the biggest winners. She won Artist of the Year, Best Collaboration for Die With a Smile alongside Bruno Mars, Best Direction, Best Art Direction for Abracadabra. And what was crazy is she actually attended the VMAs despite having a concert at Madison Square Garden that night. So she accepted her Artist of the Year speech. I think that's probably why she made an effort to be there, is because she knew that she was going to win. That's becoming a thing at the VMAs, much like the AMAs, where like pretty much if the big stars are there, it's probably because they're winning something. But she ended up, like, accepting the Artist of the Year speech and then being like, "I've gotta get back to Madison Square Garden, bye," and then she, like, made her show at Madison Square Garden. Then Ariana Grande won 3 awards. She won Video of the Year for Brighter Days Ahead, Best Pop, and Best Long Form Video, also for Brighter Days Ahead. And then Sabrina Carpenter won also 3 awards for Album of the Year for Short and Sweet, Best Pop Artist, and Best Special Effects for the video Manchild, which I was actually really pissed that Ariana Grande beat out the Manchild video because I think that is such a cinematic masterpiece. But this was really impressive for Sabrina because she won her first VMA last year for Song of the Year with Espresso. And it's super impressive that she was able to follow that up with Album of the Year and, of course, Best Pop Artist. So big things for Sabrina for sure. And then some other notable winners include Rose and Bruno Mars, Song of the Year. Alex Warren won Best New Artist, which I'm pissed about. Like, I can't deal with this guy. And I'm just gonna go on a rant for a second. I hated his performance. It was very, like, evangelical, and he was, like, the only white person on stage. So he just had a bunch of, like, I hesitate to even call them dancers, and I'm not confident that they were mic'd. Like, they were lip syncing, but I'm not sure if they were actually singing with him. And they weren't really dancing. They were just doing youth pastor moves. It was just so, like, mega. I felt like I was at a mega church, and that is triggering to me.
Sure.
I don't want to feel like I'm at a mega church. And come to find out, I'm texting one of my friends about this, shout out Devin, and she was like, I can't believe, like, he was in Hype House. And I was like, what? I had no idea because I really only had, like, peripheral knowledge of Hype House due to, like, Addison Rae and the D'Amelio sisters, but I had no idea who any of those dudes were. Like, I was a lot older than them, so I was, like, not paying attention to what, like, teenage boys were doing online. So I was really surprised to learn that. And then I did a little deep dive on Mr. Alex Warren, and I posted it on the Substack. If you didn't get it in your email inbox, that's because I didn't send it. I just, like, posted it on the website. I've been publishing so much that I'm trying to, like, pull back on how much is going to people's inboxes. But I don't know. I found the performance, it felt really phony, but then when I did, like, a deeper dive, turns out, like, Alex Warren is, like, religious, and his father, who passed away when he was 9, was, like, really into gospel music, so he has a personal connection to that. I think my beef is less about Alex, and it's more about how the men of pop are just repeating this stale, old Christian-coded pastor, like, youth pastor energy. It all sounds very similar to, like, a Louis Capaldi or a Sam Smith. And it just seems like all the new male talent is doing the same thing over and over again. Another example of this would be Benson Boone. And I'm just tired of it, especially when the women of pop right now, Sabrina, Addison Rae, Charlie XCX, like, even Taylor, for God's sakes, like, the women are pushing genre boundaries. They are going above and beyond with their stage performances, the production quality. Like, I could go on, and for some reason, the men are the ones who really had to dance, right? Like, Mariah Carey was able to park and bark it for years while Michael Jackson was out there doing what Michael Jackson did. You know what I mean? Like, Prince. Like, what happened to showmanship? What happened to showmanship when it comes to male pop stars? I need answers. Okay, so that happened. He had his performance and he won Best New Artist, but indicating how underwhelming this award was, though, they gave out Best New Artist pre-show. It wasn't even given, like, a prime, like, award-winning spot like last year with Chapel. That was one of the most highly anticipated awards of the evening. I think it was one of the last couple awards given out, if I remember correctly. So I think it's absolutely insane that they decided to give it out pre-show, and it was, like, such a moot point. Like, it was just an underwhelming part of the evening. And then Doechii won for Best Hip Hop for Anxiety. She was not in attendance, unfortunately. I was like really looking forward to a Doechii red carpet moment. I always am. And then Somber, who is like the new like Gen Z it boy, won Best Alternative. I like him a lot, actually. I like his music is maybe not like for me exactly, but I liked his red carpet outfit. It was different. And then I liked his performance. And I think he's just like a cool little dude. I'm interested in like watching his ascent to fame. He's really who I expected to win Best New Artist, but I guess his songs didn't go viral enough on TikTok. And then Mariah Carey also won Best R&B for Type Dangerous in addition to her video Vanguard. So now she has 2 whole VMAs. And I can't fucking believe that like Sabrina Carpenter and Chappell Roan won VMAs before Mariah Carey. That fact does not compute to me, but now everybody knows it. So if you ever hear like a trivia fact like that, if you're ever at pop culture trivia, now you know. Okay, now I want to get into the performances. I know I kind of teased it with my rant on Alex Warren, but now I'm going to get into some of my favorite performance moments. Number 1, Lady Gaga's Secret Set, which was actually pre-recorded at Madison Square Garden. Due to her tour obligations, she debuted her new single, The Dead Dance, in addition to Abracadabra, and it was fire. The most impressive part of it, listen, I danced for 18 years. I work in public relations. I understand like the mechanics of putting on a show. But what this woman did was something that, like, I've never seen before with my eyes. She, like, at Mayhem Ball during Abracadabra, I think, she starts out at, how do I explain this? She has a giant, like, 40-foot skirt, okay? And obviously the skirt is, like, a construction thing where, like, people are underneath it, and then the skirt goes away, and it reveals the people underneath. It's very similar if you're familiar with the Nutcracker to God, what's that character's name? Mother Ginger. Duh. Oh my God. Mother Ginger Monster. I love that actually. Okay, that's fun. Anyway, so it starts out like that, right? And so she's at the top of it, obviously, and she's like using her arms and gesturing, and she has this wig on that's very similar to the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland, where it's like 2 kind of like big buns on the top of her head that almost resembles like a crown of sorts. The craziest fucking thing happened. They switch from the first song to the Dead Dance, and she like somehow transforms from being the head of that thing to being in the bottom of it and like in the middle of the skirt when the skirt comes off with the other people underneath it. And her wig changed. She changed her wig and fell 40 feet in seriously like 2 seconds. It was the craziest shit I've ever seen. I'm seriously so impressed by it. I've never seen anything like that before. So that was awesome. And then delivered a legendary performance of her new single, Tears. She had a bunch of stars from RuPaul's Drag Race involved, including Willem, Lexi Love, and Simone, just to name a few. And they were carrying signs that advocated for trans rights, which was amazing to see. And the scene was kind of giving West Side Story a little bit, kind of Rent-ish, where it's like an urban neighborhood disco vibes with a bunch of queer people and like the cops and all of that. She crawled out of a sewer grate. It was sick, but it was gorgeous, super fun dance break. And then at the dance break, rain falls and she has a Britney Spears moment where she's singing and dancing in the rain. It was sick. I loved it. She's my daughter, I swear. And then speaking of dance breaks, have to talk about Miss Tate McRae. She blew my mind, honestly. I knew she was a really good dancer, but she still continues to impress me every single time I see her perform live. I'm more and more impressed. I know better than anyone how once you hit a certain age, like everything just is harder and hurts more. So, I mean, I'm extremely impressed by that. She did a medley of Revolving Door and Sports Car featuring an insane dance break in the sand. I wasn't totally clear on why the sand was like gray, but whatever. It was awesome. And it was like a shit ton of dancers doing really hard choreography. I would love to know the names of each and every dancer in that performance. And I would love to like send them flowers because incredible. My jaw was on the floor. I shout out to Tate McRae. I will say that she doesn't sing much, and I think that strategically she holds a microphone instead of wearing one so that she can get away with singing less, so that it seems like she's doing too much to sing live. She's not exactly known for her vocals, but that's not really like her thing, right? So I don't really care. I could watch her dance all day, and I'm looking forward to more live performances from her to come. And I'm really hoping for her that she doesn't need a hip replacement before she's 40. But her performance really showcased exactly why she's a star, despite not necessarily having the strongest vocal chops of this current group. And then something that I really enjoyed, but I didn't think I would enjoy, was the Ozzy Osbourne tribute. I've never been like a huge Ozzy fan or Black Sabbath fan. I pretty much only know that one song, like Iron Man, I think, and like Crazy Train. Like those are literally the only two songs I know. But the tribute was really sick. Members from Aerosmith performed, and then so did Youngblood, who's like this up and coming English rock star who was actually a mentee of Ozzy Osbourne, and they had a really close relationship. Ozzy even appeared in Youngblood's music video called The Funeral, and Ozzy gifted Youngblood his personal necklace, and Youngblood also performed at his farewell concert. And it was a symbolic like passing of the torch from Ozzy to Youngblood. So yeah, it was really cool. And Steven Tyler actually like basically retired in 2023 after a vocal cord injury, but he sounded incredible. I love Steven Tyler. I know a lot of people shit on Aerosmith, but I just think he has a beautiful voice. So it was really cool to hear him perform again. And it was also my first time seeing Youngblood perform, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And he's so hot and like not my type at all, but that guy is hot. And he's partially hot just because he like thinks he's hot. And I love when guys who aren't traditional, typical frat boy white guys know that they're hot or think they're hot. When it's a finance bro who thinks he's hot, that's disgusting. But when it's a punk rock guy who's just like, look how fucking hot I am, and I'm going to show Bush in my low-cut jeans, love it. And then Mariah Carey performed her medley, and of course, she sounded incredible, but she can barely walk. But I mean, that's always been her thing. She parks and barks, and I said that in front of some of my friends who were over watching, and they thought that was really funny, but like I swear that's been a thing forever. I'm not claiming to have invented that, but yeah, it was visually kind of funny, but it sounded incredible. She's everything, and I really enjoyed also watching her accept her award and calling out MTV for like, what took you so long? I'm like, exactly, demand answers because we all deserve them. And then Busta Rhymes also performed a medley of hits and had some emotional reflection. I'm not a huge Busta fan. The way that he raps gives me anxiety, but it's very impressive. I think it's always nice to see when we pay respect to our elders. And then some honorable mentions. I think I already mentioned Somber's performance was nice. And then Lola Young, my girl. I'm actually going to see her in November. I'm really excited. I really like her music. British diva who studied at the same school, the Brit school, same as Amy Winehouse and Adele, and she has the vocal chops to prove it. And I love that she's just like so like unapologetically herself. Her style is her own. She's awesome. I really like her. Unfortunately, here's some cons. Here's my bones to pick. One, there was an insane amount of influencers. I was pissed to see Alex Earl presenting an award. And like the way that influencers public speak, like it makes me crazy. They all do that like weird head twitchy thing, and they like use their hands too much. And it just grinds my gears. I hate seeing TikTokers on TV. I'm just like, stay on the small screen where you belong. I know the TV used to be the small screen, but now the phone is the small screen and the TV is the medium screen and movies are the big screen. And then y'all are gonna hate me for this, but I don't really care. I can't fucking stand Ariana Grande. Okay? That's my hot take. I can't stand her. I don't understand why she literally has transformed into Glenn, a la Austin Butler when he couldn't shake the Elvis accent. But like we talked about Austin talking like Elvis for like a year, and nobody ever talks about Ariana Grande and her like transformation into a literal fairy. It drives me absolutely up the wall. I don't understand why she does this thing where she like takes these little steps and kind of bounces. And then she like made a whole thing about the microphone being too tall for her. And it's like, we get it, you're tiny. We get it, you're a tiny baby little girl, small bean. Like, ugh, I'm over it. And then her fucking brother, who's always in tow. Can't stand that man. I can't stand him. He's just so much. And then the mom's always there, and there were just so many shots of like them. And I know it's partially because there weren't a lot of top tier celebs in attendance. So they, instead of like last year, they kept being able to like show Taylor Swift dancing with people and like all kinds of like different people in the crowd. I think Beyonce attended last year. Like it was star studded. So there was like no shortage of people to pan to. But I guess because this year there were fewer like big relevant stars in attendance, they just had to keep focusing on the Grande family. And I've had it. So that's my rant. Okay. And then a little musical footnote here. I wanted to just talk a little bit about Sabrina's Man's Best Friend. Some news. It did debut #1 on the Billboard Top 200, so I'm very excited about that. I know some people were saying they didn't like it, but I think that people just feel like they're not ready to move on from Short and Sweet yet. So they just aren't in a place where they're ready to move on to the next thing. And like, I get it. And I've also heard some people compare it to the Taylor Swift formula. But I actually want to challenge that because based on the way that Sabrina has described this experience, this was just kind of a project to help her cope with something shitty that happened and turn it into something that could be exciting. And, to me, it seems like something that is less of a career chess move and more of just like self-medication, self-soothing. And so I like when artists do that instead of seeing every album as kind of like a new business venture, so to speak. I don't think that's really the right way to say what I'm trying to say, but you get it. And I think that while sure, Short and Sweet was maybe a little bit more sticky of an album, but I think that Man's Best Friend really is a testament to her artistic instincts and her taste. I think Short and Sweet is a great album. Like, don't get me wrong, I really, really like it. It's also just kind of like, it's mass appeal, right? And I think that Man's Best Friend is a little more like specific. I think that she experimented a little bit more on Man's Best Friend. I really love the like marriage of disco and country that she makes seem like very, very seamless. And while it's like familiar, it's still very new. And there's still like a lot of her R&B type sounds on it as well. And I just love the way that she like takes from all these different aesthetics and sounds and makes it something that's like perfectly her. And is just like really authentic. And I think that's the exact opposite of the men in the industry, like Alex Warren. In other news, Doja Cat's album V, which is French for life, comes out on September 26th. So just a couple weeks until that. I'm really excited. Doja Cat was another performance that was incredible, and I really should have talked about her too. I just didn't want to make it all about the pop divas. But her performance was insane, and she showcased a lot of her like hip hop dance ability. I didn't know she could dance like that. Like, I knew she could dance, but I didn't know she could dance, and she can. So that was amazing. Really excited to see what else she has in store on this album. Jealous Type is a really fun leading single, so I have high hopes, much like Man Child was a perfect teaser for Man's Best Friend. And last but certainly not least, ladies and gentlemen, Hilary Duff is set to return to music for the first time in a decade as she recently signed with Atlantic Records, and she posted an Instagram post that said new music or something. So I'm wondering if that means like I wonder if she's doing any re-records or any like anything like that, any remasters. That would be sick. But also, I expect that we will probably get at least a new single if she's like signing to a new record label. I doubt it's just to like regurgitate old music, but that caption was very curious. More to come. Stay tuned. Thank you all for listening. I love you so much. Please share with a friend. I've said this a couple times this season. I'm really trying to like invest my time and energy into my pop culture content because it makes me happy. And my corporate job is a little bit soul sucking right now. And the world around us is like a very scary place. And I'm using this outlet as a way to cope. And I would really love it if y'all would join me in this fun little space. So thank you so much again for listening, and I'll see you next week. Love you. Bye.